Did I tell you about the cafe?
Dum-dum.
The cafe?
Cafe.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of You Haven't Seen That Podcast, or YHST for short because it's cool. I'm Isaac.
I'm Alba.
And this is a show where we cover movies on that growing list of films that has people asking us the question,
You haven't seen that?
I'm waiting for it.
Non-intermission edition.
Non-intermission edition. This is, God damn it, there it was. This is take 16 or take 17, something along the lines of that. But we are finally visiting the list once again. One, because I miss the main reason why we were doing the show, which was to cover and break down and give our take on these culturally and cinematically significant movies. Mm-hmm. Now, I just want, from the top, before we get into all the business ends of it,
drop.
I want to apologize that this episode came out a little bit later than usual. I do apologize. Thank you for everybody who was following us on social media at
YHST Pod.
On Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And thank you for following those notifications that we said that it was going to be late because we had a very busy weekend. We were going to record Sunday, but I was in recovery mode because the Hype Attack party was litty.
There were Saturday festivities.
Well, enunciate festivities, not festivities. It wasn't that kind of party.
I said festivities.
Well, you gotta look.
You need to get that wax out of your ears.
You need to listen back on that one. So we had a ton of fun, which meant that I was not in the energy level to even put any of this together. So here we are, recording on Monday.
You didn't even feed me.
On Sunday? No, I was dead. I was super dead. But anyhow, so follow us on all the social medias. And if you're looking for any YHST news, we have that available on those aforementioned platforms. And on those places, you can share, you can follow, subscribe, hit the notification bells, comment on any of those things. What part of the news you found interesting and resonated with you, as well as some past movie reviews. Now, we're probably going to continue to visit the YHST list for the next couple of episodes. Finally, movies have sort of calmed down. I know there's one or two that's popping up that we're going to go see.
Correct.
That may or may not also star Austin Butler.
Yes.
Yeah, there's that one.
Yeah.
But things have really slowed down, and I miss doing these deeper breakdowns. Real quick, though, I forgot to mention, so other than following us on social media, you can also support us on Venmo. I'm a little bit rusty. You can support us on Venmo at
YHST Pod.
And we appreciate that. Whoever's done it and whoever's going to do it. I love you. I mean it. No news, no game, because
we boring that way today.
Well, not only that, I mean, I was really thinking about it. Other than our usual YHST Gets Fresh, where we give the rating on this movie, which is 1991's Fried Green Tomatoes. You picked this one, dear.
I did pick this one.
I mean, there was a lot of movies we were going to cover. I know I said on a previous episode that we were going to cover From Dusk Till Dawn, but even though we did watch it, just life happens. And then I didn't get a chance to make my notes, and I didn't get a chance to record it. And there we are weeks later. But you picked this, and it's nice to see you involved in that way where you're like, we haven't seen this movie and maybe we should see it, because at the very start of our relationship, and I said this in our intro episode, where I kind of crapped on you because I would say, hey, what about pick any of these movies on the tower of DVDs? And you go, well, that looks boring. I'm like, you never seen it? You go, yeah, but whatever. And then now here we are where you're making these choices. And I'm the one going, Fried Green Tomatoes? What? Isn't that like a girl's movie? Isn't that for old people?
And you're over here like, shh,
yeah.
I'm watching it.
But the thing is, not only have I never seen this, have you ever seen this movie?
No.
So not only have we never seen this movie, I know jack shit about it.
Same. I think the only reason why that one popped up in my head was I either passed a movie clip or something, or I was hungry picking the movie. I don't remember.
It's not like Eat, Pray, Love, though. They're not like,
no,
there is food involved.
Yeah, but I mean, the title of the movie is Fried Green Tomatoes, and there's an actual recipe for it.
So evidently, don't shop when you're hungry and don't pick movies when you're hungry.
I am the example of this.
Yeah, words to live by. But so no, we're just gonna jump right into it, and we're gonna. I almost forgot like how we did these breakdowns. It's not gonna be scene for scene. Like I do after having watched this movie, and technically me watching it twice because I make notes a second time, and then I just freshly watch it and engage the first time. I've learned from past episodes to do that, which does mean I am watching a movie twice in order to make the notes. But man, it's such a fantastic rewatch. It's a fantastic initial watch because I didn't know what to expect. And at the top, if nobody has seen this movie, if you're listening to this, you're like, Fried Green Tomatoes, you're right, Isaac. It does sound like a stuffy old woman's movie. It's a lot more than that.
Yeah.
It's surprising. It is very surprising. The themes that they attacked, the subjects that they cover, even just people's performances, it's wonderful. We're going to take you through it lightly, and I'm not going to go step by step, scene by scene, because I do implore you, if you're listening to this, to go watch Fried Green Tomatoes. You want to take it away? You want to hit the synopsis?
Yeah, give me one momento.
And as you're looking for the synopsis, it is starring Kathy Bates, who's wonderful. Jessica Tandy, who is the older lady in this. You would have known her, if the name sounds familiar, you would have known her as Mrs. Daisy in Driving Miss Daisy.
Never seen it.
Neither have I, and that's on their list too. Chris O'Donnell, Mary Louise Parker from Weeds, and Mary Stuart Masterson, whose name I didn't off the top of my head know, but her face is so recognizable. She is in one of my top, 20 favorite movies, Benny and June.
Yes,
She's the June.
Yeah.
And I have such a crush on her.
Are you ready?
Synopsis,
I'm ready.
hit me.
Evelyn, an ordinary housewife, visits a nursing home and befriends the old lady Ninny. Together, they bond over stories from the past about two intrepid women of Whistle Stop Cafe. Also, I would like to say that I would be very much an Evelyn and befriend old people because that would be totally like my vibe to just sit there and listen to their stories.
I was absolutely going to bring that up.
Yeah.
So the basis of the way that the story starts off, what it eventually gets to is where Kathy Bates, Evelyn, meets Jessica Tandy, Ninny, Threadgood at an old folks home.
Convalescence home.
I kept putting old folks because I'm like, I can't pronounce convalescence a bunch of times. So
Convalescent.
the old folks home. And Ninny tells her some stories. And that is the first thing I thought of is like, Alva would be that person who is totally okay around senior citizens. Like I get a little bit uncomfortable because they're not completely in their right mind.
I am that person. Remember when we first started dating?
That's exactly where I'm pulling that from. I remember you told me like, oh, well, I gotta, and I thought you were totally blowing me off. You're like, I gotta go visit some senior citizens.
I got bingo night. You're like, bingo night? Yeah, bingo night.
I go, would you get in trouble or something? You go, no, I just volunteered.
I just volunteer, my guy.
Damn, she's a better person than I am.
It's fun. I liked it.
And I'm glad somebody has to. I mean, it's like I'm maybe a little bit too empathic where like it's too heartbreaking for me. And there is a scene late in the middle of the movie where it's like a hallway full of older folks and they're in their wheelchair. Like I've been in a convalescent home before. We had a family friend years and years ago. I was a kid and we would visit her, and it is a depressing place, and people aren't in the right minds, unfortunately. And it could be a little bit sad. So maybe, from that experience, I'm like, no, thank you.
My mom used to work at that same convalescent home.
La Mirada?
Yeah.
Nice.
So I would remember she would pick me up, I think, certain days where I would get out of tutoring, and she would be like, they let me go pick you up just because the school was like down the street. Mm-hmm. You can hang out in the laundry room, and then you have to help me pass back their items. So I would go with her in her car, and then there's this one old lady. She was just the most sweetest, always had her hair proper, had a nightgown. You can tell like the family always brought over clothes. They just couldn't take care of her because of their work schedules and everything. But she was always there with her little nice robes and her hair always done, nails always done. She's always there. And she'd be like, yes, honey, you could just come sit here and do your homework in my room with me.
I can't remember the last time I've actually been in an official like convalescent home, but I have been in senior living units. And the same thing, I still, I had some experiences where I felt really bad and the folks weren't in the right mind and people were taking advantage. Yeah, it's heartbreaking. But anyways, back to the movie. Okay, so let's jump into it, shall we? Again, starring Kathy Bates, Jessica Tandy, Chris O'Donnell. I think people who follow like the Hype Attack know Chris O'Donnell as like Robin in the Batman and Robin. This is based off of the novel Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop, written by Fannie Flagg. This is the first movie after Kathy Bates' success in Misery. And Misery is a fantastic fucking movie. She is amazing in it. Now, she's been acting since, I think like she was in her 20s or something, but her major recognition was in that movie. Like she popped and then was just a superstar after that. Even though the role of that she plays, Evelyn, is for the most part simple, the way that she plays it is perfect. Like it's one of those roles, and I say it every freaking time, I cannot imagine it being the same movie with anybody else. Now, there is a little bit in some of the scenes of Annie Wilkes' Misery in her performance, but that thankfully switches and it becomes less horrifying and more sweet. Like, she is adorable. There's so many scenes that she's adorable, and like her transformation throughout the film is amazing. And that's something that an experienced actress like herself can portray.
I do like her transformation within the whole movie, because the whole thing when she was going to those classes, it's like the woman empowerment kind of thing. It's find your spark, how to get your spark. And the end, all it took was making a friend and hearing stories of how that friend had like those stories and everything. And she did get back because she was learning basically from someone older who's like, just do it. Just go ahead and do it.
And not just like, just do it. And we'll talk about it as we go through some of the scenes, but it's her hearing about a relationship that shouldn't exist. So the stories that Ninny is telling Evelyn is that of Idgie Threadgood and Ruth Bennett
Jameson.
Her maiden name, Jameson. But it's this friendship that in the novels apparently is more leaning on the lesbian side of it. And so this whole movie is basically that. It's like a lesbian anthem, if you will, of finding yourself. But it's more like toned down for the movie because it's in the early 90s and, it takes place in the 30s. So maybe that's something that can't really be expressed at that time. It's a movie that I could see them maybe remaking and then leaning into that. Because there's a lot of scenes that are more symbolic than anything else, and maybe they wanted to go a little more forward with what was happening, but they couldn't. So it surprised me. It surprised me that it was like, oh, there's this. We're both looking at each other like, does somebody have feelings for somebody? And it's like, yes, but it's not that heavily acknowledged.
Mm-hmm. I don't feel like this movie needs to get like a remake. If at any point,
I agree with you.
Yeah, like maybe we'd have to read the book. I'll add that to my very long list of books and see how close to it was. But for something like this, I think it wouldn't need the remake. I think it would just maybe...
I guess I wasn't saying that it needed to be remade, but I can see that if it was remade now, where we are in a, objectively more woke society, that we would be okay with us exploring the obvious tones, if you will. Because it was, from what I heard, is that they explored it more in the book, but that they had to tone it a lot down in this.
Well, it is also 1991 when they did this. Yeah.
That's what I was saying earlier. Okay. And then your dad walked in.
Yeah.
Okay, so the movie starts off, it opens up with a truck, old-timey-wimey truck, being pulled out of a lake. Then we get very long credits, opening credits, and we get every single actor that's starring in this thing. And then after that really long opening credit scene, then we come to the present with Evelyn. We're introduced to Evelyn and her husband, Ed. What are their last names? Couch, right?
Couch.
I remember when I first saw the thing, I go, the Cooches. You're like, it's Couch, because I'm 12 years old.
Couch.
And evidently they kind of took a wrong turn. They're at the town, the old town, the Whistle Stop town, right in front of the Whistle Stop Cafe. This opening scene is so significant because she hears a train and asks her husband, did he hear it? Right from the start, like, does she have this connection to this? Like, she has a connection to this town that I feel maybe, it was what helped like Ninny gravitate towards her. Mm-hmm. But that, maybe that's just me, but like it was like an ethereal moment where, she's yet to tap into something deeper that maybe helped her change. And then there is this part where Ed was asking like, why did we take that turn back there? And she just kind of shrugs. She doesn't know. She's not really present. And he tells her that you have a negative sense of direction, which is like foreshadowing of how her personality is.
Stop calling me out, man.
No, but I mean like with her life. You know what I mean? So like that phrasing of that is very telling of who she is as a person. And that is where her transformation starts. And then we're at the Rose Hills, not that Rose Hills.
I thought the same thing.
Convalescence. And they're there to meet Ed's aunt. And for what we never meet Ed's aunt. She doesn't like them for reasons they're never revealed. I mean, she's chucking shit through the hallway. And Evelyn is very sweet about it. You know, so she kind of keeps to herself. She has her candy bars. And it's in this movie, in the first half of it, Evelyn's portrayed as this larger framed gal. And that's accentuated by like the clothing that she's wearing. Her hairdo is very Southern, like, and her curls and whatnot.
But also her clothes throughout the whole movie change.
Yeah. She has some hideous outfits throughout the whole thing.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, her clothes change as she is getting her confidence back.
Yeah.
Getting that spark that she had, which is, I liked how they use that, especially with like the costume design and everything, because that kind of also tells a story of where she's actually at.
Let's talk about Evelyn for a quick second. So like as far as her transformation, her physical transformation, and again, we're going to kind of jump around. We're not going to really go scene for scene. So, you know, we'll kind of piece all this together, watch the movie. But as she goes through her transformation, she goes from this, like, you would kind of call it like, you know, traditional housewife, like dress and a girdle and these dresses that have looks like a fucking doily, like when they're in the Christmas scene.
Oh, with the Peter Pan collars?
It is. Yeah, it's horrendous. But now I don't know, and this is where my research fails, but like I don't know if Kathy Bates lost weight throughout the duration of filming, or if they just fitted the clothes in order to accentuate her larger frame and then, you know, fit her and stuff to make her look that much more slimming. Because throughout the whole thing, she's eating candy and eating donuts and whatnot and chocolates and all these other treats and has an eating problem with all that jazz, and finally becomes healthier and is on like the raw food kick and look caloric thing, is working out, hits the gym. And so she has to look thinner. But I don't know if Kathy Bates actually lost any weight.
It kind of seems like it because her face thins a little bit, unless they had like amazing makeup artists.
That's what I want to know.
If not, then good for her for committing to that role and everything like that. Maybe she did that. But also, I don't know her acting style, because I know some actors are very like method. Like,
I don't think she is. Yeah, I don't think Kathy Bates is method to that level. We could easily research it, but we're not gonna, because it's gonna continue on through the movie. But just something I wanted to point out. So we're with Evelyn. She meets Ninny Threadgood, and Ninny isn't living at the old folks' home, the convalescence home. Convalescence home. I can't do it.
Convalescence home. Is this a word that I can say, but you cannot?
Son of a bitch. At least there's one out there. So at the old folks' home, because now that's the only thing I can say, Ninny introduces herself as Virginia, but friends call her Ninny. And it's a fun exchange. It's like that awkwardness of like, ooh, an old person's talking to me. And but Evelyn is kind of a pushover and very sweethearted and listens to her tell a story and is asked, "You ever been to Whistle Stop? And have you ever heard of Edgy Threadgood?" She says no. She goes, "Well, you would have known her if you've heard of her." She's disinterested in this whole like line of conversation, because like an old person, you ever talk to an old person and they tell you about all their medical stuff? I got my gallbladder removed, and
oh yeah, definitely.
But gets her attention by saying there was a murder that happened, and she's like, "Oh," and that's totally you with like the interest in the old person, and then as soon as they mention something fucking delicious, you're like, "Tell me about the deaths."
I'm your best friend. Come on, let's go.
And so now we go into these really long flashback scenes. I mean, so much so to the point where most of the movie is back in the 1930s. This is between like World War I and II, I believe.
That would be correct. After the Great Depression.
Now we're introduced to a lot of characters. Basically, we're introduced into the Threadgood family, and they seem to be wealthy, and you know, this is like post-slavery and things like that, but they have help, if you will. They aren't discriminatory towards them, like they are part of the family.
Yeah, the way that they were talking to them were like friends, which is interesting, because I'm just like, first of all, we're in the South. We're in like deep South, like super deep South.
Like Klans members South.
Yeah, but no one in that town looked down upon them or anything.
No, there's a few people.
But like not to the point where it's like shown that it would be there.
It's hinted at there's like a couple of lines towards the end of it where Iggy, played by Mary Stuart Masterson, tells the guy who's a sheriff at the time
Grady?
that she thinks they're all a bunch of silly idiots wearing their cloaks or whatnot, and that they don't have the wherewithal to change their shoes, so she recognizes their shoes.
Oh, yeah.
And it's sort of a hint that the townsfolk do come around. They're not as racist as maybe like folks in Georgia and stuff are. But there was a moment in a cafe where Grady kind of comes up to her and says, like, well, I don't know if you should be having those people cook and whatever. So that's like the only interaction. But the whole basis of the thing is the Threadgood family has such an impact on the town. They are such good-hearted people, and it all stems from not just the mother, which we get some interactions here and there, but it starts off with Buddy, played by Chris O'Donnell. Mm-hmm. Nobody prepared me for this fucking scene.
Also, nobody prepared me for this whole movie.
I know it's a lot to go through. So, I mean, I'm going to try to cliff note some of the stuff, but we're introduced to Chris O'Donnell, who's Buddy Threadgood, and he is the brother to Iggy. And Iggy is this, at the time she's like 10 years old. He's the only one that knows Iggy. Imogen Iggy Threadgood. Imogen Louise Threadgood.
Imogen.
And the significance of this is Iggy's kind of a wildling. And she's wearing a dress and she looks beautiful, but she hates it. Her knees are all scraped up, and it's sort of hinted at that she's kind of a tomboy. Such a fucking wildling that she attacks one of her other older brothers after he's like making fun of her and whatnot. And then we cut to where she's wearing a suit. And this is after like the really touching scene between her and Buddy, where he talks her down from a tree and he's telling her about, the oysters. This dialogue, it's, I think, integral to Iggy's character before all the bad stuff happens.
Yeah.
Because even though Iggy is wild at heart, she knows that she's different, right? She's a tomboy. Again, they don't say lesbian, they don't say gay or anything like that, but that she's maybe not girly. Buddy makes her feel okay about that by telling her the story about the oysters, that God made oysters, and then one day he put a grain of sand in an oyster, that oyster made a pearl. Mm-hmm. That God doesn't make mistakes. And essentially saying that be comfortable with who you are.
Love it.
Without that conversation, I don't know if Iggy would allow herself to accept herself or allow herself to even interact with the rest of the town folk.
No, I think she would just be that one person with a little a
little hobo stick.
Yeah, a little hobo stick, because she wouldn't want to be around.
Yeah, I totally think you're right. She'd be like one of the characters in here, Smokey Lonesome.
Oh yeah.
She'd just be another Rolling Stone with Smokey.
Yeah. Because no one would understand her. She doesn't want to go in and be with people who are forcing her to be.
And we'll get to her actually going through some of that. Mm-hmm. So the part that nobody preps me for is after we're introduced to Ruth, played by Mary Louise Parker. Ruth is everybody's crush, and it said so in the narration. She is adorable. She's the only character, by the way, where like they just like aged her up throughout the whole thing. Mary Louise Parker is her acting style or whatever it is, like when she's playing sweet and she's playing innocent, to later on in the movie where her innocence is sort of stolen and the soul is sort of taken from her eye and then re-engaged with her love with Iggy. It's so well done. It's perfect. But Ruth is Buddy's crush, and everything is going along fine. The wedding happens. They're crossing that river, and in this scene, the close-ups, it's them, but in the faraway shot, because they're actually walking across the river, it's like stunt doubles. Anyways, everything is going along fine. Buddy is making out with Ruth, and Iggy's just sort of third wheel off in the back, and she's happy that her brother is, whatever.
Happy.
Yeah, I was going to say getting some. As everything's going fine, Ruth's hat goes flying.
A gust of wind takes the hat away.
This fucking scene is traumatizing as hell. There's no swell of music. Mm-mm. Everything seems like it's still okay, but the foreshadowing or the tone of stress, if you will, is set by how the editing is going back and forth between the hat and him and the girls. And he's like, no, well, I'm still being a charming guy. I'm going to go get the hat. And he finally catches the hat. His foot gets stuck in the railroad, just as a train happens to barrel down his way.
It's how it happens. He tried to take his shoe off and it couldn't happen. Bam.
Last second, he jumped left when he should have jumped right.
Mm-hmm. The train took him away. No, but I feel like that is one of the moments where Ruth did want to kind of, in a way, reach back out to Iggy. Because I feel like in a way also understood her as a tomboy in a way. But because she was so closed off after that she only let one person near her.
Well, I mean, can you imagine being different in the 30s and the one person who accepted you for who you are is now gone and gone tragically?
Oh, yeah.
That would make anybody close down. And Ninny, the narrator, says as much, that a bit of Iggy died that day.
Yeah, 100%.
So we get a couple of scenes in the present with Evelyn, and she goes through a couple of different classes, the marital classes. And these scenes themselves are just so fucking funny, but also very surreal because Evelyn's a bit of a daydreamer. Mm-hmm. This is why Kathy Bates is so adorable. There's a fantasy scene where she imagines herself wrapped up in cellophane.
Oh my God.
It's so, I've never really looked at Kathy Bates that way because I only see her as Annie Wilkes in Misery. But she's adorable. She's absolutely cute.
But the dress that she made with it, I was like,
it's fancy.
Nice.
Yeah.
You have a fancy dress.
And she even imagines that her husband, Ed, is just as negligent as he is in real life. And it's heartbreaking. Whenever I see in a movie or TV show where there's a couple depicted that one person's trying to save a marriage and the other person isn't exactly being an asshole. Throughout the movie, Ed is never an asshole. Ed's not a bad person. He loves his wife's cooking, and he loves that she has a beer ready for him, but he neglects her and their needs, and she's trying with all her might to the point where she just doesn't try anymore and gains the power of self-respect and, focuses on herself to the point where he's upset. And finally, through her not being as much of a trad wife, if you will, that he realizes what he's been missing.
Oh, yeah. And then here's some flowers. I'm like, mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's very sweet about it. There's only one moment that he tries to be a man and put his foot down, but for the most part, she is as good of a wife as can be. I mean, not only the way she dresses and how she acts, which is very Southern, which is taking care of somebody and really not questioning it, and cooking and things like that. She's super sweet about it. She really doesn't get mad until she has her breaking point. And
I love that scene so much.
And then later on, threatens to kill him.
Oh, even more.
Yeah. There's a scene later on where when she's finally trying to change herself, Evelyn's trying to change herself, that she's feeding him sushi, a low caloric meal. And he says, Wait, what are you trying to kill me? She goes, if I try to kill you, I'd use my hands.
But I love how her relationship with Ninny, you can tell the stages that it's developing.
Yeah.
Going from awkward to, okay, I need to hear the rest, to, okay, so now we're best friends.
Well, with an interesting story like that, I mean, you have to come back. But not only that, there's at least 2 visits where they go for Ed's aunt. And then finally, when the aunt doesn't want to see them anymore, I think Evelyn's visiting Ninny every other week or something like that.
Yeah, I think every week or something, because she's just there. Because I think after a certain point, it's just Ed stopped paying her attention.
Yeah.
She's not needed. The son's off to college.
That's right. They're empty nesters.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're empty nesters.
Yeah. So it's he's now devoting his time to football and all those stuff and watching TV. She doesn't have a purpose because the purpose was to raise the kid, and now she's trying to find something to do with her life. So now Ninny's there.
But Ninny's also helping her rediscover the spark of life. Not just a relationship, but just the spark of accepting who you are.
Oh yeah, definitely, of course. But at the same time, it's she even takes Ninny's advice to what was it? You need to go get that testosterone in you.
Oh yeah, the hormones.
Get the hormones.
So let's quickly move along to finally meeting the grown-up Iggy, who's played by Mary Stuart Masterson. Again, I really have a crush on her. But as we jump forward in time a handful of times, Iggy starts off by looking still like a wildling. She's wearing a vest and it almost looks like bloomers. Right?
Oh my God, yes.
Her hair is a bird's nest. Hard to have, not to be superficial, but hard to have a crush on that, And she drinks and she smokes and she plays poker. And as we jump forward through time, throughout the different years and stuff, she does get, I wrote down more put together. And yeah. I was very careful to not use the term feminine. But there is the last 2 times that we see Iggy, she does look more feminine to the point where with her and Ruth, they are actually kind of dressed the same towards the end of the movie.
Oh yeah, once they both Ruth finally gets her independence and not having to worry about.
Yeah. And everything's all calm
Yeah.
and they won the trial and everything like that. That's like that point where it's like, oh, they are absolutely a couple. Although it's never said, that's where they are in their relationship.
Oh my God. Look, I'm going to fast forward a little bit to that. Especially when like they're on trial and then it's like, well, why would we believe you? Who was she to you? She's like, she's my best friend. I love her. And I'm just like,
That part was crucial. And again, we're jumping around. I don't want this episode to go super long, but the trial what the trial is for the death of Frank Bennett. After Buddy dies, Ruth stays with her for the summer, and this is her trying to get back in her good graces, getting to know her.
also, I believe Idji's mom is like, you were the only one that you got to her in the beginning.
Well, I think that the mom wanted Ruth to sort of tame her down.
The mom wanted Ruth to kind of, in a way, like join other people, like just
Yeah. That's,
like-
I mean that all encompassing. But the funny part is, Idji was more of an influence on Ruth.
oh yeah, teaching her a little bit more self-independence.
So when they agree to hang out together, they go do things that Idji is doing with all the hanging out with friends and playing baseball. And one of the most important parts is Idji has Ruth join her on a train. Again, with me not knowing the movie, I'm thinking she's a thief. She's going to steal all this stuff for her own.
Good.
And it turns out she's playing Robin Hood. And as the train moves along, she's throwing the food out. And during this scene, Idji says something along the lines of, well, everyone else is in that church praying. I'm here actually doing something that matters.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of like sways Ruth and makes her think differently about this woman, this individual who she thought was just wild.
Yeah, because I believe everyone would talk to her like she doesn't want to follow the rules. She doesn't want to do anything. She doesn't want to get married when she needs to get married, get that husband. And I think that's where Ruth starts being more like the brother with her. Like a little bit more understanding, a little bit more accepting of her.
Oh, a lot more understanding.
Yeah.
So after that train scene, now Ruth is more attuned to like hanging out with Idji and having her show her a good time and how, the other side lives, if you will. Because Ruth is very put together and very polite. And by the way, throughout the whole movie, like the Southern drawl is just so intoxicating. We tried to do the Southern drawl terribly, by the way. We will not do it here. I'm looking at you. We will not do it here.
I will not do it here. I haven't watched enough shows to do that Southern drawl. I somehow got my Irish down really good.
Again, we won't do that
We
here.
won't do that, but I gotta get.
But there's a few more scenes that are crucial where Ruth sees Idji as this like amazing person who does not question herself. I mean, really, there isn't a part in the film where Idji is ever questioning herself. She is confident in who she is as a person and what she is doing. Never ever does she falter.
The only time where she questioned herself was with that dress, just for a slight bit of going down the stairs because she knew she was either going to get in trouble.
When she was a kid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that was the only time where she's like, do I go down these steps or not?
So Idji shows Ruth a good time and takes her out for a picnic, which picnics, by the way, are inherently romantic. So this scene like has its symbolism heavily. Now this scene blew my fucking hair back, my non-existent hair back, because
He grew the hair and then it flew back.
dick. It's the bee scene, the bee chimer scene. Idji asks Ruth, does she want some honey? She says, well, of course. He goes, all right, won't stand there and watch this. She approaches a beehive. The stunt woman who was supposed to do this bee scene, this bee stunt, quit that day. And so the actual actress herself is covered in bees for the duration of the scene. That wouldn't be done nowadays. That'd be all CG and whatnot.
Yeah, actually, Masterson did all her stunts because the stunt double quit.
But no, so the importance of this is as Idji is getting the honey, the camera pushes in on Ruth's face as if indicating this realization of a crush. But at least that's what I took from it. But the way that she's like, no music swelled or anything like that, but her face was so fascinated by Idji.
I looked at that as more of respect.
See, if it was a respect thing, it would have just been like, oh, a nod and a okay, cool. But it like held on her face and it pushed in, and that usually means like something deeper. Not only that, but finally, when she gives her the jar of honey, it's kind of metaphorical when she dips her fingers into the honey jar.
Definitely. No.
Sexy.
100% get that. But I think for me, that was more towards like Ruth's birthday celebration and teaching her how to play poker and how to be more comfortable with that. That's what felt more for me like that is that.
I don't know what you mean.
How you were just like saying right now with like Ruth and the honey, and how like the camera zoomed in, and like there was like, now that's maybe the inkling of like, oh, I see her differently now. For me, it was more when they were playing poker and she was in the lake or whatever, in the river, and Ruth comes out of the river and Idji's just sitting there at the edge.
Oh, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Which is the following scene. So the beach armor scene is, I think, where Ruth, I'm just going to use the term, falls for Idji. And I think that even though Idji has already like had her crush started from when she was a kid, there is this like verbal exchange after Ruth's birthday and the baseball, and they're swimming by the lake and everything. And that is where Idji confesses how amazing Ruth is. But then Ruth has to disappoint Idji by saying, well, this is the best birthday I've ever had, but once the summer's over, I'm going to go get married. Heartbreak.
Ugh.
Heartbreak.
And not even a good marriage at all. No good piece of crap.
What?
Yeah, the guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the fuck?
Oh,
Get on my level.
That's right. We'll jump around, but we're introduced to Frank Bennett. And before we even know like who he is or who he's going to marry, which is later on Ruth, the first interaction he has is with Idji, and he's hitting on her. And by the way, this is when Idji ain't looking too grand.
She's like coming out from fishing. She literally has like a couple fish on the line, like carrying it back to the mom.
And she knows she doesn't look good. So when he's like, well, hey there, you're good looking and you're looking lovely. And she's like, are you a politician?
And I think that's another reason of why when Ruth got married, Idji stayed behind, because she saw who Frank was. But because Ruth has to go ahead and follow all the rules and everything, she couldn't say much.
Which does lead to later on in the movie where after Ruth does get married to Frank, it's later revealed that he beats her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and those scenes are heartbreaking. So, I mean, like, this movie's not only covering racism, it's not only covering lesbian relationships, but it's covering sexual assault, it's covering domestic abuse. It's a handful of things. This is a layered movie. I think like something that everybody can relate to, honestly.
Which I feel like in a way it's like way ahead of its time for having all of that.
Yes.
And not just like having like, oh, we talked about a little bit of this, maybe we might have shown a little bit of this, but like each topic, it doesn't go away through the movie. It like somehow grows until the topic is no more. Like with the racism, like it's subtly there, but it's not until later on in the movie where it's shown a little more heavily.
Well, I mean, let's just say not let's just say it, but like
I was like, wait, hold on.
It's when the N-word is thrown around a handful of times.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying. Like, it wasn't until the end, towards like middle end of the movie, where it's all a boiling pot, basically.
It's correct, and it's usually like the actual. I think if you notice, it's usually what's kind of seen as like the bad guys in the movie that use the N-word. But those who we were supposed to like Grady, who is like a longtime friend of Idji, and even though he's been in the clan, he kind of knows figures out the errors of his way. If ever he calls any of the help anything, it's usually like colored folk or boy. I think that's about it.
Yeah,
that's about the extent of like our technical good guys,
like the PG version of the South.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would like to say the South because no one else anywhere else probably be using those words.
I hope not. Jesus Christ, I hope not.
And if you do, I will see you with my fist and my other fist, right and lefty.
Right and lefty.
And I don't know my directions, so you don't know which one you're going to get.
So fast forward, after Ruth's mother dies, she basically sends a note with an obituary, and that's when Idji, her brother, and Big George, they go collect Ruth. And that's when this maddening scene happens.
Oh my God. That scene had me speechless because I did not expect that scene to happen.
Like I said before, Mary Louise Parker's character Ruth is all full of life and hope and everything, right? But in this scene, she is dead in the eyes with that look of soullessness. She tells Idji, I'm pregnant, which is usually, if somebody says I'm pregnant, it's usually in a celebratory way. Mm-hmm. So now knowing that she's pregnant, the altercation between her and her husband, who she's leaving, is all that much more heartbreaking. She doesn't lose the baby, but he fucking slaps her up and kicks her down the stairs.
Oh yeah, and they're not like maybe 3-4 steps up there. They're halfway there.
Yeah, and again, sorry for trigger warning if anyone sensitive.
Oh yeah, big time trigger warning.
Yeah, apologies, but it's obviously she fears this man, and he's just in front of company. He does this shit, and they don't do. The only thing that happens that comes from it is that Iggy does threaten to kill him, which plays a part later in the trial where the prosecution tries to throw that against her.
Oh yeah,
but thankfully, because the town is unified thanks to Iggy and the Whistle Stop Cafe that she and Ruth own and run, that everyone comes together and providing a solid alibi for Frank's death. Later revealed that it wasn't Iggy or Ruth or George or Smokey that killed Frank. Spoiler alert, it was George's mother, Sipsy, who ended up doing it, which was revealed at the very, very end of the movie. The reveal, I mean, I was like, oh, no, she didn't.
you did gasp, though. You're like,
yeah,
oh.
There's so much subtle foreshadowing. Frank's death is covered up by Iggy, George, Sipsy, and I think that's it, right?
No,
Smokey.
Smokey.
Yeah, Smokey.
Those 4.
But Iggy has the idea that George should put a barbecue on, put a broil on. We're going to boil a pig, which implies, and
also,
it's heavily implied, yeah.
Trigger warning for anyone about
for cannibalism.
Yeah.
There's that. They basically boil Frank Bennett's body. Now, my only question then is, they didn't expect the Georgian sheriff to come to town.
Correct.
Who were they going to feed Frank to originally? Because it just so happens that we don't like this Georgian, what's his name? Smoot? Detective Smoot?
Yeah, we don't like him.
And it just worked out that he had a big appetite and he loves barbecue, and they gave him like 4 or 5 servings.
He asked for 4. He said, when is this barbecue going to be ready, and how can I get a plate? And the fact that he went out to where the barbecue, like they had that whole setup was, and I'm like, you went outside.
By the way, believe me when I say, like, we are not doing this movie justice. It's just other people have covered this movie in 3 parts, 4 parts, 2-hour-long things. Like, I ain't trying to go that long. Like, I do want people to experience all the nuances of this movie, which is so fantastic. Because on a technical standpoint, like, there's nothing miraculous about this movie, how it's shot. But the story is so rich that it doesn't need anything other than good actors and a really beautiful story. By the way, when it was getting shopped around, because it only came out like a few years after the actual book was written, it was almost shopped around as a musical.
Oh, yeah. Did you know that the author was in one of the scenes?
Yeah. She was like the first.
She was a teacher. She was
the professor.
Yeah.
To try to bring spark in their life. I'm so thankful she wasn't the
she was the
other
counselor or whatever.
Yeah, I'm so thankful she wasn't the other educator who was trying to like have the women, look at their vaginas through the.
I thought that was her.
No, it wasn't her. No. It was the first one with the hand mirrors.
All right.
Like every character in this movie has so much history, so much background. From Evelyn's transformation, where she was called a fat cow, an old bitch, she feels useless and powerless, to later on where a couple of other girls say that they're younger and faster, and that's the point where Evelyn smashes their car and says, "Yeah, well, I'm older and have more insurance."
Tawanda.
Yeah, Tawanda. Yeah. So there's a term Tawanda that's thrown around originally by Iggy, but it's this exclamation, right? It's this punctuation when you're doing something courageous, like an Amazonian woman, Tawanda.
It's like the hell yeah, like the fuck you in a way.
Geronimo, sort of way. But like I said, every character is so like fleshed out. You learn about Ninny and how she had a special needs kid who passed away when he was 30 in his sleep, to Grady and how he came around to being part of the town, being the sheriff, to Smokey. Like, there's so many characters that are so integral in the story, and some more fleshed out than the others, but it's indicative of like how a loving town or community can be.
But then you also have like when Frank Bennett and the clan come into town.
Yeah.
So then you have these strangers coming to town, and was it because Frank found out that Ruth kept the kid? She didn't lose the kid, and he has a son, and was basically threatening Ruth and Iggy and basically anyone that got in his way, and how they kidnapped
Big George.
Yeah, Big George, and had like that scene.
Yeah.
But I'm just like,
The scene, by the way, and again, trigger warnings, is the clan are basically whipping George, and George never wants Iggy to get in trouble. He kind of tries to refuse her help a lot of the times, but Iggy is always helping people out. From Smokey, how he came in and kind of had the DTs, was like shaking, gives him a drink and sets him straight, and when those moments where like Ruth sees Iggy do something good, Ruth then does the same thing, either to the same people or in her own different way. Like Iggy is inspirational.
Like, yeah, Iggy makes Ruth see people in a different lighting. Because, of course, in the beginning, like you could see Ruth in a way judging Smokey.
Mm-hmm.
But once she gave him a little bit of kindness, now Ruth is doing the same thing to the end where Smokey was in love with her.
Everybody was in love with Ruth.
Yeah, but he didn't say anything. And the fact that like Smokey basically died a couple years after Ruth died.
Yeah. So going back to like in the trial scene, they ask Iggy, is she such friends with Ruth that she would kill for her? And the answer is, not only would everybody kill for everybody in that town, which nobody really has to, because Frank Bennett's death was kind of accidental and more self-defense. Like Sipsy did not mean to bash him that hard, just the once. But that everyone, at the very least, would cover up things for everyone.
Yeah, you know what? Sipsy just hit that sweet spot at the back of the head with the cast iron skillet.
He hit her first, by the way, with a shotgun.
Yeah, but those cast iron skillets, like the real heavy, like the original cast iron skillets, like the ones that are heavy, not these new ones, but like the OG
it's your
ones.
OG ones.
Yeah, the ones that are like, shit, that thing's heavy as fuck. 2 hands, please, not one. Yeah, those. Think Tangled. Bam. Right into the head.
But adding on to close out my thing with the whole trial thing, I don't think we have to reference it again, but even the Reverend is kind of shown throughout the movie is kind of not agreeing with how Iggy does her stuff. But then towards the later part of the movie, he's also inspired by her helping the town out because all he's doing is praying, right? So finally, this is the one moment where in the trial where he's able to do some good. This moment is so funny because they ask him, are you willing to swear on the Bible? And he says, well, I brought my own.
Mm-hmm.
And then proceeds to say that Iggy is lying about her alibi, that in fact, she was with him preparing for the revival. Not only was she with him, but so was Big George.
Because Big George was helping in the back with the set.
The funny part is the Reverend, who's honest throughout the whole thing, is lying about this. And then when Iggy asks Ruth, like, how... He even swore in the Bible, and Ruth says, if you look closely, you'll notice it was actually a book of Moby Dick. That's such, like, again, to have a town, a community where, maybe you're not killing for one another, but you'll protect one another no matter what cost. No one's ever standing down, even though there's alternatives that are maybe less extreme. But, whether it's some outsider or whoever threatening your friend, no matter what their class or color, no matter if, like someone's making fun, like in that trial scene, the prosecution calls Big George, and this is to Iggy, he calls Big George a no good lying N-word. And she fires right the fuck back by saying, that's right, you gump-faced, blown-up, baboon-ass bastard.
If I could only remember that as an insult
I wrote
to
it down
anyone.
for you. Yeah. So she's always standing up for people, no matter if they're bigger than her. I mean, she'll try her damnedest. So it's awesome to see that her good heart inspired people to band together because it's that strength in numbers. It's not just the one person doing the little things, but all of it together that makes it everyone, it makes living worth living.
Oh, definitely.
Makes life worth living.
And in the way, it's like you rarely now have Iggy's in the world. Like they're very rare to find.
That's so true. I mean, like, I'm this movie is inspiring, but at the same time, it's, I think the world is too big right now. And we try like with our podcast, we try with our little movie reviews to like touch people's hearts or make them laugh and, bring that little community.
Yeah. But when was the whole point is like, the whole point I'm trying to say is, when was the last time you did something good just out of your heart?
That's what I'm trying to say is the world, in my opinion, can be such an ugly place that like, I think I've talked about it on previous podcasts. Like I struggle with mental health issues. I struggle with depression mainly. And a lot of that is due in part to me trying to do something good and it never being either, not that it needs to be acknowledged or even reciprocated, but it gets a lot of times gets met with negativity. And you go, well, hell's bells, why am I doing this and kill myself when, you know, hardly anyone's acknowledging it. Now, mind you, in this movie, like, people are not only acknowledging it, but they're then, you know, paying it forward and stuff.
Yeah, and I feel like both me and you have been Idgies, like, done a very good act of kindness to people.
I think nowadays we have a select few people that we will just do anything for.
But I mean, there's times where we have helped someone out when they're trying to get away from an abusive ex or whatever. And then that kind of, and the whole thing, it's like, I'm not asking for anything in return, to be honest. I need to learn how to do this, to be honest. I will YouTube how to jump your car to help you out, because that's the only thing that freaks me out. But it feels crummy when people don't give you that thank you. And the thing is like, I'm not looking for a thank you. Majority of the time, I won't look for a thank you. I'll be like, no, I did it. All right, cool. Bye. Peace out. I'll be smoking and walk out. Like, you know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I at least would be cool if somebody like paid it forward or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, you know, I mean, I don't want to go too long with this, but I just see too much of the ugliness in the world. And I've, you know, in my line of work, like, I've had my opportunities in helping people out in various ways. There was one incident where I was taking care of a house where these foster parents, their foster kids were all on the spectrum. And the parents outright said to me, like, yeah, easy money or something like that. And this place was roach filled and it was bed bug filled.
That's the one where they have the kid tied up in the bed or something?
Exactly. And so I had, you know, I talked to some people and managed to like get CPS and stuff called on them. You know what I mean? So like in those little moments, I was able to, I have a couple of other examples, but it's just so far and few between. Don't get me wrong. Like if something like that pops up again, absolutely. You know what I mean? And I'm not necessarily talking about those big moments. I'm talking about like, you know, maybe little smaller things where it's so easy for somebody to say thank you or to pay it forward or whatever. But boy, oh boy, like for me, it's been the proverbial, like you opening the door and somebody going, I could fucking hold it myself. You go, Jesus Christ, maybe I won't hold the door open. And it sucks. It sucks. But you know, it happens often enough where I go, it hurts my soul, you know, for it to get met. Now, sure, you can say like, well, you know, push through and maybe the next person needs it. I'll try. I'll really try. But it has become much more of a struggle as of late.
I started to say hi I've been saying hi to the Smokies in my work area. Sometimes they're the ones that would know if something's bad's happening. And I would rather have them on my side. Yeah. And not like treat them like they're the problem or anything like that. That just like saying a hi, how are you to anyone is like the best.
No, for sure. Like those who are like in a really low place in a deficit, if you will, you know, they see any helping hand as like a grand gesture. And again, I'm not, just to reiterate, and I might cut a lot of this out because we went on way too long about it, but I'm not saying that. I'm saying like the smaller gesture kind of things. You know what I mean? There have been people in my life where they are such a low place, and you just do a simple like checking in on them. That's something that, you know, it's something nobody ever does, and you mean it genuinely, and it lifts them up. Hell, it happens to me when I'm like in a low place, and someone's like, "Are you good?" I'm like, "Thank you for asking."
Oh yeah, no, definitely, yeah. But I think what I was trying to say, it's like, also when someone's asking for like change and stuff, instead of just dismissing them or just like not even looking at them like a human, because I know there's times where I know people do just dismiss people. I've learned to just like give them like the eye contact, with like, sorry, I don't have any, you know. I say that it relates to like how Idgie is. Like she would still like, even if she couldn't help someone, I felt like Idgie would still look you in the face and be like, sorry, I can't, instead of just disregarding you as a human being.
I think that Idgie and Ruth are like, and it's even said in the movie that they're angels amongst people. They're the kindest, the sweetest of people. You know, like the rest of the characters, they're doing some nice things here and there, but like the two main characters are doing a ton more for people, selflessly. In fact, I mean, going back to like with Ruth, when she was being abused by her husband, she was praying and thanking God for giving her the strength to take the beatings. You know?
Oh, yeah.
And so they have the strength to take said beatings, whether it's like physically, emotionally, fiscally, whatever it may be, and are able to push forward. Not a lot of the characters in this movie are able to do that, but they they do the best to their ability. So as far as like relating to Iggy and Ruth, they're the best of us. You know what I mean? So it inspires us to maybe hold the door open a little more often. And maybe, like you said, look somebody in the eye and kindly tell them, like, I'm sorry, I don't have anything, as opposed to going, huff and
Yeah.
walk them. That I do get.
Okay.
I'm telling you, this movie is so layered. It's inspirational in all sorts of ways.
All right. Now, can we go ahead and talk about Ruth's kid,
Oh, yeah, Buddy Jr.?
Buddy Jr.? Can we talk about how this movie gaslit me in the middle of this whole thing? Emotionally gaslit me, okay? Because
Don't name your kid Buddy.
here's the thing. I get it. Naming the kid Buddy after your first love. Understand. But when you have that same scene happening where there's a train and the kids are playing on the train tracks and Buddy Jr. is there, and all you hear, because it's not focused on the kids, but it's somehow like you just hear the train and screams.
You're like, not again.
And I'm just like, not again. And then you just see Big George just carrying this body. I'm like, oh no, here it is. He's going to die. And I'm like,
Cut to
yeah,
the gravestone.
to the gravestone where it says Buddy Jr.
And then pans down.
Arm. And I'm just like, this
You know what, though?
mother.
No, you would totally do that. I sent you a video about a month ago where some girl, for whatever reason, had to amputate her arm, and she had a funeral for her arm.
Oh, yeah, I
and I'm
would
like,
do that.
that's absolutely something I would do. Definitely something you would do. So like,
I would give a speech.
I would use it to finally reach that spot in my back that I could never reach to an itch.
Side note, did I ever send you the video of the girl who lost her foot and she has it in her freezer in the basement?
No.
Oh my God. I gotta send you that video. Anyways.
Okay, let's continue on with the tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people die in this thing.
Get injured as well.
But the emotional scene, I didn't expect Ruth to die soon. She gets cancer.
Stomach cancer.
Is it stomach cancer?
Yeah.
Yeah, stomach cancer. It starts to become emotional as she's dying, but the banter between her and Iggy is still sweet, and Iggy's tough, but she doesn't want to acknowledge that Ruth might be going away forever.
Mm-hmm.
Up until the final scene, and I love this because it's a long scene. It's an uncut, unbroken scene. Ruth is in bed. Her son, now they call him Stump. He's kind of hard on himself because he can't play like the normal kids. Iggy gives him a talking to, She tries to tell him all the stories. Did I tell you about the ducks? Did I tell you about the oysters? Did I tell you about the three-legged dog?
You told me everything, and finishes every story for her.
So he already knows. And so at the very end, she just tells him to be courageous for his mom. So they come back to the room. He's happy. And Ruth is content that Iggy she's going to be able to take care of him no matter what happens. She refuses medication and has her final talking to with Ruth and says to take care of herself and, be good to others.
Be happy.
And to tell her one last story, right? And so Iggy goes to the window. She opens up the drapes. It's a beautiful scene. I love that house, by the way.
That's a gorgeous house.
And she's telling the story, and Ruth passes away slowly. Nothing overly dramatic. They don't cut to her. It's until Iggy comes back to the bed and realizes that Ruth is no longer breathing, that she loses it, which means we fucking lose it. And I'm sitting on the recliner and you're sitting on the couch and I'm like, nope, can't show emotions. And I turn to you and you're full fucking tears. And I'm like, I'm crying too. Single tear.
I had tears.
No, you were fucking crying.
It was until after the tears came down.
Oh, man.
I feel like we should have a game where it's more of like, how many times did Elva cry in this movie? Because at this point, I feel like every movie is making me
How
cry.
many times did you cry in this one?
About 2.
What's the second time?
When the brother died.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't. You know what? I didn't, only because like I was trying to when the movie first started, I was trying to settle in with the movie. Like, I was in this mindset of like, oh, it's going to be a stuffy movie. It's going to be boring. And I think the weather was hot and like the AC is running. So I wasn't able to like focus in. So I don't think I was like in the right mindset yet. But like, probably like 15, 20 minutes in, it got me. As in like, I'm in the movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think the other time I didn't cry, but my eyes kind of did like water up a bit was when Ruth got thrown down the stairs. I was like, oh.
Oh, I was more pissed than anything.
I was like,
yeah.
oh. But I think that was more like an anger reaction because I'm known to cry when I'm angry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I know that. So to near the end of the movie, we're back at the old folks' home, and Evelyn, after having a conversation with Ed, saying that she wants to take care of Ninny because Ninny has helped her hold a mirror to her and helped her change, and she's now family. And Ed puts his foot down. He says it's never going to happen. And Evelyn tells her, "Never say never to me," which is a phrase that in the stories Ruth has said as a sort of like, you calling me chicken?
Yeah.
So that's like her sort of her moxie, if you will. And so Evelyn, with all the confidence, goes to the old folks' home, and she's going to gather up Ninny, only to find out that the bed is empty, and the nurse is taking down her rose garden, her paper rose garden, because Ninny wants to go back to her actual garden. Evelyn is beside herself with sadness and grief because she didn't get to say goodbye. And by the way, there is a scene for Ninny's birthday. Evelyn brings her fried green tomatoes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we didn't even touch on like the actual fried green tomatoes in the cafe, which we'll get to in a second. And it's this really important conversation about death, and you shouldn't be afraid of dying. You should be afraid of not living an important life or not living a significant life, being stuck in traffic forever. That's the one thing she says she was afraid of. But that she's, I think in the movie she said she was like 83 years old and at the quote unquote jumping off point, and she has no fear, that those, God takes people when it's their time, and she's excited to finally, she knows that whenever it is her time, she knows that the people will be waiting for her. And like it's that moment that kind of got me a little bit as I'm kind of choking up now. Because you and I have sent each other a variety of videos where a mother will say, when I die, make sure that you...
Yeah, I couldn't go to hell with those videos.
Well, let me fucking finish the thing. is in the videos, to ruin a moment now, is they'll say, bury me with whatever, like a bottle of sparkly nail polish. Because, their daughter passed away.
Make sure my shoes are tied tight. I got a play date with someone.
Play date,
I'm
yeah.
like, you gotta be kidding me right now.
Those get me.
I cannot.
But the reason why those get me is sometimes people have a shorter lifespan for whatever reasons, and if you're a spiritual or religious person, like that seems really nice to know that you're going to see them in the afterlife, and that you're going to live a life that you didn't get to live while you were here on Earth. The kind of thing, as I'm a little bit choked up. But it's just because you and I, we've had family members pass that are way too significantly early that we didn't get to experience what everyone else gets to experience. We didn't have a Ninny that was 83 years old, like I'm envious of, like, for instance, my mom who, my grandpa's still alive at, 98 now? 99? My grandmother passed away 4 years ago. And as sad as that was, it's like she lived a very fulfilled life. You and I lost parents very young.
Yo, have you been looking at my For You page or something? Because I swear to God, I cannot get... It's going to happen.
But all of that to say is that this conversation between Evelyn and Ninny about death is... it helps Evelyn see that it isn't about, like... needing to step on people in order to do the right thing. Because she kind of goes from Evelyn goes from like a really sweet, innocent person all the way to like a fucking crazy person.
Oh my God.
And then kind of, reels it back in to where it should be, where she's, having the power of self-respect and maybe threatening Ed a little bit too much. But
he needed that kick in the butt.
He really did. Yeah, if you threaten me, I'm pretty sure. Tawanda. All right, I'll dump the trash.
I'll say it before you say it.
Yeah.
No, but that scene where Evelyn does go to the old folks' home.
Fuck those nurses, by the way.
Yeah. Fuck that nurse for not clarifying what was going on, because I was about to start crying.
I know.
Again.
I was going to lose it.
I was about to say I just finished crying for the first time. You guys need to let me recoup for at least 5 minutes or so. Then you can make me cry again, because I cannot do it again back to back.
Well, what happens is... It wasn't... Ninny did not pass away. Ninny actually took off back to her home. But in the context of it, in the scene prior, one of the nurses mentions to Evelyn that Ninny's home was torn down because it was condemned. But no one has told Ninny that. And so Evelyn has to go rush and try to catch Ninny before she discovers that. Unfortunately,
A little too late.
Yeah, she had to discover that by herself. But the reason why Ninny was at the old folks' place in the first place was because her friend Mrs. Otis, which was I think Sipsy's daughter,
Yeah.
right? She was sick, and so Ninny was there as a good friend, keeping her company. But now that Mrs. Otis, which Evelyn was way too happy that she passed away, was gone, Ninny had no reason to be there at the old folks' home, so she's going to go back home.
And then bam.
So now we're back where we started, which was at the abandoned town of Whistle Stop. And it's such a sad sight to see an old woman sitting on her suitcase, rocking back and forth and crying.
That was horrible. No, because like seriously, it's like you have a home, you go and do the good thing to keep, your friend company so she's not alone. And then while that's happening, your home gets torn down because it's condemned.
Mm-hmm.
And then you come back and it's like, wait, where the fuck am I supposed to live? Like everything she knew. She probably wanted to do that whole thing where she like went to the house and died at where it all began or whatever, but that was taken away from her.
There's a line that she said that Ninny says to Evelyn. Evelyn does break it to her because she thinks that the her house was stolen. There's nothing valuable. Why does somebody steal? And she tells her, no, it's condemned. They had to tear it down. And she says, well, somebody should have told me. I'm old. I'm not a child. And that one struck a chord. And again, maybe I'm, revealing too much of like my family traumas and stuff. But one of my nieces had leukemia a few years back. And around that time, my grandmother was still alive. One of my other family members didn't want us to tell our grandmother, thinking that my grandmother couldn't take the news of my niece having cancer. Mm-hmm. And I thought, no, grandma's tough. She's been through so much shit, like things I won't air out here, but like she's been through stuff. She can take it. Family deaths, other family traumas, things like that. So this is not necessarily a walk in the park, but she's tougher than nails. And I remember getting angry at that family member saying, no, grandma can take it. And it just so happened that another family member had already told grandma the news. And there's this whole kerfuffle. But all that being said is like, how did grandma take the news? She was strong for the family like she always was.
Yeah. I feel like it's not just your experience, but also with my family and shit. I feel like also it's like you're a child, you get treated like a child. You grow up, you get treated like an adult, depending on where you stand on the hierarchy ladder or whatnot. And then also like in general, when you get old, does not matter if you have Alzheimer's, dementia, any illness, you get treated like a child as soon as you start getting old. So it's like you're reverting back to being a child because you're being treated as a child.
Dude, I remember putting up Christmas lights at our house in Pico Rivera, and my grandpa was like helping me out. But my grandpa, being my grandpa, he's like, I'll show you how to do it, and jumps on the ladder. And my uncle goes, get him off that ladder. I go, dude, I forget the age at the time. I'd have been like late 80s. I go, he's 80s, whatever, 89. If his soul and body are still willing, who am I to stop him? Because Ninny says the same thing. She goes, 83. That caught up to me. I don't feel 83.
Yeah, because like, what is it? My grandma was she was like 94, 95, maybe 96. I'll give her 96 is old. She would walk like ain't nobody's business.
Yeah.
Like, it would take her a while to get up from that chair, from that couch, or wherever she was sitting, the bed, whatever she was sitting. But when she got up, she'd be shuffling really fast. She walked faster than me. And I was a teenager. And I was like, how's this happening? And she would do that trick where it's like, I can't see. I need glasses to see. But if she saw you down the street, be like, what were you doing over there? I saw you clearly across the street. What were you doing? And I also feel like people who start treating elders as children cause a lot of like mental problems for elders. And because they're being treated as such, that person slowly ends up giving up on themselves, that they stop kind of using their brain.
And again, it's one of those conversations where like I half agree with you, because there are some physical things that they're just not able to do, and if you let them, now it's like you're gonna harm. They're gonna harm themselves.
I know, but like treat them as like they are not.
That's what
like,
I'm saying. I'm saying like I half agree with you, because physical stuff, whoa, but other things like talk to them like a normal person, and just have that conversation. But going back to it, just to close out the movie.
my whole thing was, before you interrupted about the whole physical thing, it was like, treat them as they are, but accept that if they do have like physical limitations, take that into account. Just don't make them like invalid. Like,
Oh no, I
you
agree
know,
with
yeah.
you. Yeah.
And at the same time, like I feel like that's how Ninny felt. Like she was just like, I'm a child. Like, even though I can walk and have a coherent conversation with you and even, stand my own ground, you treat me less than, and you feel like I'm not going to be able to take these news and it's going to kill me, but you don't even know how I'm going to feel.
No, I agree with that.
And
I think that's where like the casting of Jessica Tandy as Ninny was also crucial because she's kind of like really ancient looking,
Yeah.
And you're like, well, you are an old person, and the I remember what I was gonna say, and like the gusto that she has. So the blessing, the gift of my line of work is I get to meet all walks of people and all ages, and I have a couple of clients. One specifically, shout out Anne, doesn't listen to this. But Anne is a badass for all reasons I don't have time to go into. But she is, I think she's like 95, 96, I believe. And anytime I talk to her and I do her service, she has this vibrant soul. The way that she talks to you, it's booming. And even though her body's starting to get a little bit more frail, she's still going on her daily walks, albeit now with a walker, is just tough as nails person. If the soul is willing, it'll push the body to do more than maybe somebody who's just already kind of, dead on the inside. But those types of people are amazing. I mean, it really shows you that no matter how much longer you have in life, you could do a lot of stuff, no matter what age you are.
100% agree with that.
So, I mean, that's more to your point of, treating older senior citizens as regular folk, if you will.
Yeah, because they can play a mean game of bingo. I tell you that.
All right, to close out on the movie, Evelyn offers Ninny to stay with them, and Ninny does agree. But right before they close out on that, that's when Ninny tells the secret the Sipsy told her of who actually did kill Frank Bennett and what they did with his body. Like we mentioned before, they cooked it up because the secret's in the sauce, and they fed that to Smoot. And then Ninny does feel better telling Evelyn all the stories because in doing so, everyone will live on in the memories.
Yeah, it's like basically passing down one story and hoping that person keeps that story alive and passes that down.
Kind of like if you ever seen Coco.
I'm
not trying to make you cry, but in Coco,
we don't talk about Coco.
But in Coco, it's like you go so many generations, and if you're not putting them on the ofrenda, then they get forgotten forever and ever. And that's just a scary thought. So hopefully our podcasts live on in the digital realm and people get to enjoy them for years to come.
Yeah.
But before the movie closes out, Ninny does point out that there's a note left on Ruth's grave. The note says, love you forever.
Your favorite beekeeper.
Your bee charmer.
Or bee charmer.
Yeah. And Evelyn's like, oh, Iggy lives.
Yeah.
And, Jessica Tandy as Ninny is like, well, sometimes I see her, running around somewhere. I'm like, what? Are you Iggy? Like, it's never really pointed out.
I think she is.
At the very beginning, she says that she's Virginia Threadgood. She was adopted by the family. And as far as like the ages don't exactly match up.
For all we know, Virginia could be Idri's kid or a kid that she took in that was homeless.
Well, no, that's what she said that she was brought in, but we don't ever actually get to see like quote unquote her character amongst all the stories because as she's telling the story, she is supposedly like remembers like Buddy dying and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So there's some inconsistencies with that, but I think it's kind of heavily implied that she is Iggy.
Yeah, I think so.
And as the movie does close out, Ninny does say that the cafe shut down after the railroad stopped running, the heart of the town stopped beating, and it's funny how a little place like that brought so many people together. And the camera slow pans over to the window sign that reads, fried green tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe. And we have watched Fried Green Tomatoes.
La, 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 la.
I know we went through a lot of stuff. We're kind of bouncing around, but overall thoughts.
I would rewatch again. This time I think I would be more prepared for the emotional parts.
You should
again,
rewatch it.
I say this every time. I'm not going to cry as much if I watch it again. I'm just going to have to give up on that. I don't even know I'm going to cry double the next time I watch it.
So I'm not gonna play the music, but we'll do our YHST gets fresh in just a second, where you're guessing it. Real quick, we didn't touch on the budget, but the budget of that movie, I believe, was $11 million, and it was a major hit, a major success at the box office overall.
With 119.4.
Not too
million.
bad.
Also, this movie has two names. In the US, it's called Fried Green Tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
In the UK, it's called Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I even heard that there's kind of two versions of the movie going around,
Yeah.
and how
Similar how Pride and Prejudice is. It's like you
Oh.
have different endings, different things. So that's why this. Remember when we put it on? I was like BAFTA, and I'm like British. I was like, okay, yeah, because there are two versions. Most likely, the British one has a different ending or a different way of.
I think it's literally like it's cut differently.
Yeah,
Yeah. So ending aside, I mean, it's somebody was saying that the beginning of the movie is completely different. Mm-hmm. But I like the version that we saw, and you can rent that. We rented it on Amazon for a couple bucks, so that was very much worth it. Dear, you should watch it again. But I want you to guess. What is your Rotten Tomatoes rating, and then guess the critic and audience score.
okay. Personally, I believe it's an 83.
Mm-hmm.
Critics, I will say like a 79, and audience maybe like a 75. I don't feel like audience would give it that much.
Did you give like 4 ratings right now?
No, I said personal, critics, and audience.
I could have sworn. I'll have to go back to the audio. I could have sworn you gave 4. It threw my mind. I'm like
And if
controlling
I did
all
give
these
4,
buttons.
I don't care. I gave 3.
All right, I'll have to double check. I mean, I'm so busy with like the buttons and knobs and stuff, I can't. All right, so you're more with the audience, but the critics rated it a 76%.
Excuse me.
Excuse me, hardcore 76%.
How dare you?
Eat shite.
I guess I would get it because
No,
depending.
fuck that. I'm not giving them any fucking room.
Okay.
Yeah, but the audience loved it at 87%.
Okay. I got yeah.
Solid, more than solid movie. I mean, cultural significance all throughout. Great cast, great story. Jesus, so many themes that they touched on. We did not do this movie justice. I'm still trying to. If you kind of noticed at the beginning of the episode, I'm like trying to find my footing, and then it kind of flows into a natural conversation, and I'm still kind of trying to figure these things out. But we did not do it justice. I mean, I'll just say that none of these takes, these actual movie breakdowns when we're hitting those YHST list things, none of these episodes are ever going to do the movie justice. Because I do want people. I mean, these movies on the list, they are always going to be good movies. Like the intermission ones, hit and miss, But we can guarantee that like we're talking about these movies because they're culturally or cinematically significant. So we know damn well, even if the Rotten Tomato ratings isn't going to reflect it, we know that there is a community for it. Whether it be niche or not. But there is an audience, a fan base for these movies, and Fried Green Tomatoes is not the exception. It's an amazing, amazing movie. We did not do it justice. I will repeat that one more time because I don't want anybody fucking coming at me.
Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, like when I was rewatching this movie, in closing, when I was rewatching this movie and taking the notes, I go, Jesus, how do we even talk about this thing without talking about this and the significance of that? As movies are, and it's a 2-hour movie, by the way, but like as movies go, every scene should inform the story, or the characters or whatever it is. They should, and this movie does not have a wasted scene. Like they trim the fat on it, and it's a solid, rich 2-hour movie. It's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous movie.
I have to read the book now to see how I am going to be emotionally. Because I know books are more on the emotional part of it. Like they just give out
Oh, please
more.
read it. Yeah, I'm curious to see.
You know what? Yeah.
Because I'm not going to read. I don't read.
Again, a couple books I got to finish first. But yeah, I'll read it. I'll give a book report next time. I'll make sure I have tissues just in case.
Well, I've given all my thoughts on this very beautiful movie. Alva, do you have any last words to say about Fried Green Tomatoes or in movies or family and life in general?
Go see it. If you make the fried green tomatoes, let me know how they are.
Oh, I didn't talk about the fried. Damn it! You know what? Sorry, go on.
Be kind to people. Make good choices.
That's great, actually.
Befriend old people and play bingo with them. you'll learn a lot of life lessons that you didn't either get from your parents or no one has told you and you missed.
No, that's great. God, I can't end the episode without talking about why it's called Fried Green Tomatoes. There is a scene in the middle of the movie where things are actually going the best. You know, it's Ruth, it's Iggy. They've built the Whistle Stop Cafe. The community's all together. Everyone's perfect. And there is a food fight scene. This is following Iggy creating the fried green tomatoes, which Ruth honestly says she doesn't like them, which enrages Iggy, and they have a whole food fight scene. This is the most symbolic of a scene than any other than throughout the rest of the movie, because it's sort of supposed to kind of be metaphorical of a sex scene.
It's supposed to be the love scene.
Yeah, it is. Sorry, not sex. You're right. The love scene. The way that they're interacting with each other, and it is. They're perfect together. They are super sweet, and they're at their happiest. They're absolute happiest and accepting of one another.
Mm-hmm. And that's also where Grady gets iced out. Because then after that, you see less and less of him.
You do, yeah. He needs to know his place. So sorry, just needed to talk about that. See it for yourself. We've said enough. In fact, we probably I hope we didn't scare anyone away from the movie with our terrible covering of it.
Look, just go see it, or you're gonna have some talking tunes. I don't know. That's gonna make you see it because you don't want to hear me talk to you. It's not gonna make sense.
She has spoken. That's true. Yeah, she has spoken. I know there's so much context. All right, before we ruin the movie, Jesus, thank you for listening to this episode thus far, dear Lord. We will try to do. Sorry, we will try to do better next time. But let us know if we did some justice to this movie, and you can let us know on our social medias at
What Justy Pod
on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We appreciate you guys joining in the conversation about this movie. Let me know what are your favorite parts, what you took from it. If you didn't like it, I'm fascinated to know that. We're just simple people. You know, we're movie people, but we're not like the movie people. We just happen to have microphones and have a love for movies. But in the meantime, let us know what films are on your growing list of movies that has people asking you the question. You haven't seen that? Till next time, folks.
Okay, bye.